Who does not need a long introduction. September 2017, Amazon announces the search for a second headquarters. He's the governor. He has Virginia in a position to compete for this and to get this thing started. Virginia, of course, limits our governors to one term. So Governor Northam brought it across the line. But Terry McAuliffe deserves a lot of credit. I'm going to invite him to come up and talk about his experience with this. Governor McAuliffe, thank you so much.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Great to be with you. Tracy, great to be with you. Victor, great. We had a lot of great projects. Nestle and others. I loved everything you said, but what's this deal about living in D.C.? Virginia, 362 wineries, 268 craft breweries, 8 varieties of oysters. You come to Virginia, you eat our oysters, you drink our wine. Virginia's for lovers. You figure out the rest. I'm just telling you. You can't do that in D.C., only here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. But folks, it's a great honor to be here today, and what a great week for the Commonwealth of Virginia. I first want to say this would not have happened without great teamwork. It's really everybody. This is not one group. You know, the great work done by Crystal City and Arlington and Alexandria and the state and our universities. This was really a group effort. And for me, it was something very special. It was the culmination of really a 5-year effort of what those who live in Virginia have heard me talk about every day, of building that new Virginia economy. You look back, it all started 5 years ago. I had just gotten elected. I was in the transition. I inherited, as you know, an economy that was really in tough shape here in Virginia. Virginia is the #1 recipient of Department of Defense dollars of all 50 states. And sequestration had come about, and we had gotten whacked. We were too reliant on the federal government. In the month of October and November and December, those 3 months, we had only created about 1,000 jobs a month for the entire state of Virginia. We had been reeling. I had met with Mitchell Shear, who was the head of Coronado, who had millions right here in Crystal City. I went up to his office. It was really one of the saddest things. He showed up all of the empty space that we had up here because of all the defense assets that had moved out and were shrinking. I also found out during the transition that I inherited a lovely $2.4 billion deficit, one of the largest in the history of the state. I did not know about it when I was running for governor. They kept that secret. I quickly found out about it. So my whole emphasis is, folks, we've got to re-turbocharge our entire economy. We've got to think differently about how we do it. We have to lead in Virginia. We have to become leaders in the new disruptive economy, the new gig economy, and all those new exciting 21st century economies we have to have here in Virginia. So we had to think differently. The first thing I did is I had to, which is very important, as the economic developers will know here in Virginia, did not have a good reputation as it related to women's rights, as it related to gay rights. As you know, before I got elected, the Virginia legislature had horrendously passed a bill called the Transvaginal Bill, which Governor McDonald signed into law, and Virginia became a laughingstock on national television. If you remember Rachel Maddow and others talking about the process, which I won't do today at breakfast. But I tell you, it sent a horrible message across the country to Virginia. There is not a CEO that's going to bring a business to a state that discriminates against women. They had just passed the track laws to shut 27 Planned Parenthood clinics down here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. We had horrible HB2-like legislation, and I said, we're going to end all that here in Virginia. We cannot do that. I cannot recruit Amazon, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Salesforce, all the CEOs whom I knew personally, all of them who I was personally calling to bring to Virginia. We just had to get over that first hump. So the first thing we really did is end all of that. I appointed a new board of health. I fired all the old members. And we ended the trap laws in Virginia. And I'm very proud that not one single women's clinic closed while I was governor. In fact, we opened 2 new Planned Parenthood clinics. That is a welcoming message to women. And we stopped all the anti-gay legislation. You saw what happened with North Carolina and HB2. We got CoStar in Virginia, about 1,100 jobs, average salary $110,000. We got them to come to Richmond, Virginia. North Carolina had 3 times the package that we had, but yet they came to Virginia because of what had happened with HB2. So we had to clear all that out. I was able to do that. As most of you know, I had a record of the most vetoes of any governor in the history of the Commonwealth of Virginia, 120. I said, I'm not going to tolerate any discrimination against anybody, no matter who you love or who you pray to. We've got to get out of that. whole action. I had to veto some horrible gun bills. You can buy machine guns out of the gun stores. I had to end that. We don't need that kind of stuff here in Virginia. So the good news is we ended all of that. None of that exists today in the Commonwealth of Virginia. We are now viewed as an open and welcoming state. When Indiana did their foolishness, I ran a full-page ad. If you don't like having that discrimination, come to Virginia. I mean, what a change in 3 years that we were not. I actually ran against a candidate, the Attorney General, who actually said it should be a crime to be gay in Virginia. You know, that's not good. Fast forward, all gone. So we're able to fix that. I then had to work on our education system, and I think it's really one of the most, if you talk to Jeff Bezos, he will tell you it's probably the single most important reason why Amazon came to the Commonwealth of Virginia. We got Nestle because the CEO, I remember I went out and met with him for my 5th time in the final celebration dinner. I said, why Virginia at the end of the day? I had taken out about a case of beautiful Virginia wine. We were not going to drink that Virginia wine out there. You know, I always said we were better wine in Virginia. By the time I'm done, they're going to think Napa is an auto parts company. So after a couple of bottles of great Virginia wine, I actually said, why Virginia? And he said, I'll tell you, Governor, it's your education system. Your K-12 is one of the best in the country. And for every employer and employee, they want their children to get a great quality education. So we had to lean in on our education. We had to redo it. It was built for the Industrial Revolution. It didn't work anymore. This is what, we are now a model what has to happen in the country. We redid, we got, for the parents in this room, as you know, I got rid of 5 SOLs. We had way too many tests. We made the test shorter. You get an automatic retest now, some basic things. But we changed our whole high school curriculum. Now, you get credit for going in the workplace while you're still in high school. We got to get you out of the classroom to get some real life experiences. We now added computational thought process. Critical reasoning is now core curriculum. We're the first state in America to do it. We're the first state in America. We now teach cybersecurity beginning in kindergarten. Why? Because we have now become the #1 state in America for cyber companies. #1 in America. Today in Virginia, we have 48,000 open cyber jobs. Starting pay is $88,000 right now. So we got to put that together. Too many people are graduating without a skill to match all the jobs that we have available. So we redid our entire education. I'm very proud working with the legislature. I put up $1.1 billion. It's the largest investment in education K-12 in the history of the state. I got it passed, redid all of it. Both my budgets had pay raises for teachers. We had not given teachers a pay raise in 8 years in Virginia. They were all leaving to go to other states. So we changed that whole thing. It really made us an innovative workforce development grant. We're the first state in America to actually do it. You have one of the 166 credentials that we need skilled workers. We'll pay 2/3 of the cost. First state to do that. We now pay tuition costs for non-credit courses, as long as it fits into a credential. And we're the first state in America to do it. So our workforce today, I think, is the best in the country. Our education system, we're far outpacing other states, and I just can't tell you how important all that was. When we talk about Amazon, we had to take care of some structural deficiencies that we have in the Commonwealth. And the good news is we're in great shape today. I'm very proud. When I left office in January, I inherited the biggest deficit, became the biggest surplus in the history of the Commonwealth. We are humming. Our economy's doing great. But when Amazon first came about, I remember like it was yesterday, I was on the state helicopter. I was flying out to Southwest Virginia and to do a jobs announcement, of course. I was going out to Danville to announce about 125 jobs, which is a very big deal in Danville. And I was with my Secretary of Commerce, Scott Haymore, and he got the news that Amazon was looking for HQ2 and going to be 50,000 jobs. I said, whoa. So for me, we've become in 4 years the #1 state for cyber, #1 state for data analytics, data companies, and #1 state for unmanned systems. But the real key would be if we're going to finish up building the new Virginia economy, getting Amazon to me was the whole deal. So he told me on the helicopter just as we're landing, I said, oh, I said, buy 2 tickets to Seattle tomorrow. I said, we're going to go see Jeff Bezos tomorrow. I had known Mr. Bezos, and I figured out, we got to have this in Virginia. Well, then Todd talked to the Amazon folks, because we had just won Amazon Web Services. I dealt a lot with the Amazon folks. And they very diplomatically said, I don't think it's a good idea for your governor to get on a plane and fly out here to see Mr. Peace. So that may not be how this bid process is going to go. So I said, okay, I'll pull back and wait a little bit. Not my nature, but I'm just economic development team, what we need to do. And so we got with our VEDP, and that was another big thing for us in Virginia. When I became governor, our VEDP system was a mess, our economic development. As governor, I used to have a cabinet meeting every Monday morning from 9 to 10. I did something no other governor done. From 10 to 11, I had VEDP come in and do their cabinet detail. I want to know every job we're going after in the Commonwealth. Who do I need to call? Where do I need to go? Let's do this. And I did it for 4 or 5 months, but it was the same presentation week after week after week. And finally, I threw them out of my office, and I'm done with this. We had to shake up our VEDP. It wasn't working. So we had to get a new head of VEDP. So we were recruiting. It's always funny how life works out. We were recruiting. We had a group doing interviews, and they were briefing me on it. I remember I was in the, I built actually, I did a couple things as governor. I'm the first governor to put a kegerator in the governor's mansion, which I used extensively to recruit deals. It was beautiful, right under George Washington's picture. We had a beautiful kegerator, and then every week I'd bring in a new craft beer from around the state. But I also had a little cigar garden built out in the back there, beautiful little area there. You could have a little Virginia wine, or Virginia whiskey if you wanted, and maybe a cigar or two from probably Cuba, but that's okay. It's all right. It was legal to bring 100 back. Well, it wasn't at that time, I guess. Now that the statue's gone, I don't want to get off topic, but we did go to Cuba. I went several times as governor. It's a big trading partner for Virginia. You should understand. So we took the state plane down. We flew down. The state plane holds about 12. It's a King Air, and did our meetings in Cuba. Coming back, we land. You have to go to the first port of entry. I think it was Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, and state plane pulls in. There are so many cigars in the cargo hold that the plane can hardly take off. And the custom guy comes out and says, everything off the plane. And I'm looking at it, and I just said to my Secretary of Commerce, Todd, I said, let me be very clear. You brought all those games. I am shocked that you brought these cigars onto this plane. He's what we call the mule. But anyway, so my state police who protect me gets off the plane and says, you can't do that. This is the governor of Virginia. And the guy says, oh, I'm sorry, load up, take off. So off we went. Todd was relieved of having, the statute of limitation is gone. I see we have some cameras, so I just want you to know, it's all Todd Haymore's fault. I hate cigars. I don't like beer. I do like beer, but I don't want to get into that today. But, so anyways, we had, and so I was in the back recruiting a gigantic business person, Jim Bernhardt from Louisiana, largest businessman in the state, and he had just sold his company for $3.5 billion and did great. It was called Shaw, and we were working on a project, and he was mentioning that he started a new fund, went on raising $1 billion, and he was about to hire this guy who's the head of the endowment for LSU. And that piqued my interest because our finalist was a guy named Steve Murray, who was the head of LSU development. We were looking at the same guy. I mean, what are the odds of this possibly happening? So I quickly told Jim, who's a great friend of mine, I've done business with him, you're not going to hire him, we are. And I got to tell you, getting Steve Murray in at VEDP, and I know Victor mentioned that, literally he is second to none, and really, for everybody involved, it really made a huge difference. So we had our great economic development team in place. And I remember they came to me the first thing and how we're going to, what we're going to bid, what we need to do. And they came in and said, the state's going to put up about $2 million to put the bid package together. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't like that. I said, no, I don't really think it's fair that the state put up all the money. And I told Stephen and the legislature and Todd Haymore, I'm not going to go for that. It's not fair to folks in Southwest Virginia who, their tax dollars go for bid, that they're not going to be the primary beneficiary. So I said, we're going to do this differently. I said, if a community wants to be involved, they're going to have to put money on the table. We'll match it, but I'm not putting up all the state money. And I think that was very important because every community came up and to show me they were very serious about it. And listen, we had Richmond bid. My political director is the mayor. He called me and said, I'm not going to do this If you don't think it's real, I said, no. And I had actually spoken to Mr. Bezos and others. When we started this process, there was no front runner in Virginia. Virginia Beach bid, the mayor of Sessions called me. Wide open, put your bid in. We have no idea. I have no idea, but everybody gets treated fairly. So, but I also went out to the universities. I said, you know, if you want to get a part of this, I'll let you come in the bid process. And we invited every university. I want to give Virginia Tech a great shout out because they came up. They were the only university that came up and said, I want to be part of the bid process. And they were part of it. So, you know, we obviously had the Crystal City site, we had the CIT site, we had sites. You know, we had 5 sites here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. But Virginia Tech early on, and I think having Virginia Tech in really helped us on the Amazon piece because they're going to do this $1 billion, you know, innovation technology center. That made us a little bit different. And I think that piece also made a huge difference. So we ended up coming together, we submitted our bid on September 17th or whatever, sent it in with all of our different groups, and we all became partners, but I think all of them putting money on the table really made it a good collective, collaborative process of all of us really working together. And I really think, you know, what we did here in Virginia is now a model for the rest of the country of how you go out and do it. We had all the assets. We had the high tech. But now we have an Amazon. You now think of Virginia now as, and this is something I always wanted, you know, we have to be the Silicon Valley of the East. And we'd had great success with cyber and data and so forth. 70% of the world's internet traffic, folks, as you know, goes through Virginia. So, you know, the Visa Worldwide Center is here in Ashburn, Virginia. So, you know, this is really will be transformative. So as we get through the bid process and we got going on it, and boy, was it competitive of the jurisdictions. Oh my goodness, they were all calling me. And honestly, I'm the governor of the Commonwealth. I'm an honest arbiter. I didn't favor one versus the other. But golly, you know, people said to me like 6 packs of craft beer. I said, I got my own beer, guys. You don't need to do this to me. But you know, to me it was, and I want to give Amazon a great process, a great credit for the process. They kept it very quiet, and then you know, about just as I was leaving office, I'd gotten a little heads up that they had gone to the finals and that we were going to be in the finals. And for me, that was a really sweet ending. As I left office in January that we were. And I knew once we got in the finals, I was a little worried about Maryland, who I think was $5 billion, was it? But Maryland had put up a huge number. Was that what it was, Esther, 5? And then Newark put up $7 or $9 billion. But I always thought that Jeff Bezos had, it wasn't really about the money, it was about building a future company and where they could get the technology, which I think was very important. I did get a little nervous on September 11th. Mr. Bezos was in town. He did an economic thing on the 12th, and on the 11th he had his board dinner. And I was invited to go to the board dinner, which I viewed as somewhat of a good sign. Only a couple of us, Colin Powell, Matt Albright, were invited to have dinner with his board and Mr. Bezos that night. And you know, I was working in Virginia like a dog. And one of these top executives talking was all good. And then just said, you know, New York has a lot of tech talent as well. And then he spent a couple minutes talking about New York. And so I came back and relayed to my folks, I don't know what's going on here, but I don't know if that was deliberate, but they sent a shot to me that they're also maybe possibly looking at New York. And sure enough, you know, we just found out the last minute that actually, which, you know, was great. I mean, this will be, they're going to invest $2.5 billion in the Commonwealth of Virginia. We're going to get 25,000 jobs up to 37,500. We're putting $50 million in our STEM courses, K through 12. So, you know, it is a great, great win. And it literally was teamwork. And that's all I want to say. You know, you get a lot of credit as governor for a lot of these things, but folks, it is all the people, literally the economic development team and everybody else who really, really, really made this possible. And I want to be here today to say thank you. We are a different state than we were 5 years ago when I was during my transition. We're open, we're welcoming, we're the leading cutting edge on technology and education. I mean, we literally have it all. So, and this is good for the region. This is good for Maryland. This is good for D.C. In fact, I talked to a top official the other day, in fact, last night about D.C., and they said, thank you. You're putting up all the money, and we're going to have people live in D.C. I said, well, that's fine, but, you know, what this will mean for this state, and we are now, when I say, folks, we're building that new Virginia economy, let me tell you, folks, the new Virginia economy is built in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Thank you very much.